We live? We live? Microphone check one, two. All right. We fucking did it, guys. We fucking did it. Let's go, guys. Let's fucking go. Oh man, I'm sorry, guys. I'm under the weather. I'm sick, but I had to bring it to you live. That's why I couldn't bring it live yesterday, which I wish I did because yesterday was a fucking amazing game. They counted us out. They dogged us out. We fucking had a really tough year. We struggled a lot. This is bittersweet because my mom and I, she got real sick over the years. Recent time, actually, like a year and a half, like less than a year, or less than 2 years. But let's say for the past 2 years, we've been really tight on talking about the Dodgers as she retired from work and was battling whatever she was battling. I thought it was just her legs and her back, but she wound up passing away, and she passed away on the 25th, and it was really hard, and it's still really hard. I'm still dealing with it. I'm dealing with the affairs. I'm dealing with talking to family. There's just a lot that's going on with it. But one thing, me and my mom, a bond that we had, and my dad's still with us though, but that's a whole nother story in itself. But I want to be. This is a time to be happy, and um, it all started with my mom and my dad buying a set of baseball cards from, I think, like the Home Shopping Network or some shit, and it was like a bunch of Reggie Jackson cards. You know what I'm saying? They were big Yankees fans at the time, and the first time I ever went to a Dodger game, my mom took me to a Dodger game. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so over the past couple of years, that was always something that we bonded on for decades, and it's crazy because like I was always a Dodger fan, right? I grew up in LA. LA is all I know. This is my home. This is my town. And I grew up as a Dodger fan my whole life, right? But that was the origin of it. You know what I'm saying? I did like the Yankees because I was born in New York, so I always had a respect for them. That was more of like my dad, you know what I mean? Some of my mom, but she grew to love the Dodgers and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And my dad is down with the Dodgers too, you know what I'm saying? But he spent a long time in New York, so if it's not his favorite team, I get it. They came from Brooklyn anyway. You know what I'm saying? The Dodgers. You know what I mean? So there's an East Coast thing with them anyway. You know what I'm saying? But over the years when she was sick, we got real tight on talking about the Dodgers. You know what I'm saying? When I was getting really into baseball. Shout out to Baseball Doesn't Exist. I was watching a lot of his videos um, on YouTube, and I thought he had the most compelling videos on YouTube, and those videos made me fall in love with baseball again. And you know, we talked about it every day. My mom and I, we called each other all the time, and we talked baseball. And I got really into Shohei Otani. I didn't. He was under the radar for me. I wasn't in the baseball scene anymore like I was, and I got really into Shohei Otani. Started studying him. You know what I'm saying? Looking over his highlights, and when he came to the Dodgers, and when Yamamoto came to the Dodgers, I knew it was something special. I knew it. I knew it was something special. I knew there was something special about these 2 years. I said it was going to be a dynasty. I always knew it was going to be a dynasty. People predicted that this would be the greatest baseball team since the Yankees in the 2000s. And I remember that team. That team was great. Sheffield, Jeter, Rodriguez, those guys were fucking insane. You know what I mean? Um, I remember watching those World Series back then. You know what I mean? And then there was the World Series we got during COVID that to me meant a lot. To me, it meant something to me. You know what I mean? But I kind of missed out on it a little bit. And over these last 2 years, even longer, But mainly over these last 2 years, I really got into being a Dodger fan. You know, it came from like getting like playing like MLB the Show, the video game. You know, when it came to Xbox, you know what I'm saying? That really got me back into baseball too. You know, so it was like a combination of a lot of things. And so last year was so special with my mom talking to her all the time, talking baseball. I started collecting baseball cards. You know, because my parents got me into cards. My dad used to buy me like we used to go to the swap meet. We buy upper deck cards. I had Jordan cards that I wish I still had to this day. I don't even know what happened to them, but I had some really special Michael Jordan cards. Like I had Fleer 92. I had all those cards, you feel me? And I had his MVP card. I just had a lot of important Jordan cards that I wish I kept. You know, I don't think I had his rookie card. If I did, I'm an idiot because that card's worth like $2.5 million, if not more. So, you know, and then you got Kobe Bryant, and the passing of Kobe Bryant, and how important he was for me, especially recently after he passed, getting into the Mamba mentality, but like appreciating him in the last two championships. uh, In the first three, it was crazy, but there was that drama, and it kind of left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth, and I kind of fell into it because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how serious Kobe was about basketball, and I think that's what turned a lot of people off about Kobe Bryant because he was such a freak. He was so serious about basketball, and at a young age, he kind of had this military mindset instilled of him of there's nothing that you can't do. There's nothing that you're not capable of doing, and we must get the job done at all costs. And that kind of mentality can be off-putting to a lot of people because it can rub people the wrong way. Sometimes those people can also be very like emotionally like cruel in a way, or like because they could be cold, and that could there's just a lot to it, that, and then you got jealousy, right? So that Dodger year 2024 was so special, was so hyped, and it was so amazing. It was great talking about the Dodgers with my mom all the time. And then this year was kind of different. This year they struggled a lot. You know what I mean? They lost a lot of games at home. I was mad that people made fun of Rookie Sasaki. I was really upset by that because the Baseball Doesn't Exist documentary explained the culture of Japanese baseball, and one of the people that everyone looked up to out there that was a coach. You know what I mean? Some people say it's cult like as far as their love for baseball, but they love baseball. You know what I'm saying? So um, there was a guy there that a lot of them like looked up to that said basically like, no, if you fucking lose, like you literally should cry. Literally tears should come out of your eyes because like that's how much it should mean to you, right? And so this guy was this Baseball Doesn't Exist documentary, one of many that I've seen, painted that picture. So when I saw how upset Rookie was, it didn't surprise me. But the backlash from Dodger fans and from fans and from people that were fans of baseball but that weren't Dodger fans, they really came after him, man. They really came after him. And that always upset me. And I told my mom before she passed away, I told her, just watch. This Rookie guy's going to come back and he's going to be incredible, just like Yamamoto was last year when Yamamoto got injured and missed the 2 months that he missed. And then he came back at the end of the season and in the postseason, and Yamamoto dominated the postseason then. He was amazing then. I remember first watching Yamamoto pitch. I didn't know what the hype was with the guy. I wasn't watching Japanese baseball. I wasn't watching these guys. I was watching Shohei because Shohei was already paid his dues and was at the Angels for like what, 7 years. So I already was on that train, right? But I didn't know about Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I didn't know about him. And I'm gonna keep it real. But when I was like, "Yo, this dude must be the truth," because they're giving him 350 million that they're offering him, so he must be the truth. You know what I mean? And I remember when I first watched him pitch, I said, "Wow." I said, "Uh oh, this guy's gonna be a problem. I mean, it reminded me. I was a big Hideo Nomo fan. I was a big the Raul Mondesi, Hideo Nomo, Earl Hershiser, Mike Piazza. You know what I'm saying? Fernando was before my time, but I got into Fernando later. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I was a big fan of these dudes. And when I saw Yamamoto pitch, it just brought me back to that feeling of like when I was a kid, and I loved Nomo and Piazza and that whole squad. You know what I mean? That whole team back then in the '90s. You know what I'm saying? Even though I don't think we had a chip, I think the chip came around the '80s, right? I could be wrong. Fact check me on that. Right now I've just got a lot going on in my head, but I told my mom, I was like, "Yo, this dude Yamamoto is gonna be incredible." And then he got injured. He was gone for 2 months. He came back, and that's why I said, "Watch," because my mom was like, "The hype on this guy rookie, now," and I said, "Just wait. He's probably injured, or they're developing him in the minors, but just wait." And that's what happened. And I wish my mom could be here because she'd be cheering him on. You know what I'm saying? And she would be just as shocked as I am as at the skill level of the development that the Los Angeles Dodgers provide. And I think that's what Shohei Otani and maybe even Yamamoto told Rookie, like, "Hey man, you gotta understand when it comes to the quality of management and development, this is the top. This is the top." You know what I mean? Maybe they even told him there's only so many branches that can do this. You know what I mean? So many organizations that could be at this level, and this might be the best one, if not the best one. Plus, you have that branch from Hideo Nomo, right? So that's what wound up happening. And I know he didn't do great in the World Series. And I know but that Cleveland, or excuse me, against the Reds, he was insane against the Reds. You cannot front on him on that. And when he came back at the end of the season, just like Yamamoto, his velo was at 100. I mean, he threw a pitch, right? Uh, I said, okay, he's back. I fucking went and I fucking turned the game on and I went to watch him at the end of the season and I was like, fucking might as well have my popcorn and shit. I'm watching and Ruki Sasaki threw a pitch. And when he threw it, that shit said, and I said, what the fuck? I had never seen anything like that. I'd never seen nothing like that before. Where that shit went straight and just like, dude, it was beautiful. It was one of the greatest pitches I ever seen. I said, holy shit, here's a guy that everybody was making fun of for crying. And now he's a World Series champion. And Yoshinobu Yamamoto, uh, my favorite player from the Dodgers since he first arrived. Sorry, Mookie. Sorry, Freddie. Sorry, Teo. Sorry, Kike. It's hard because I mean these guys are just so talented. It's hard to have one. Like I said, this team is the greatest Dodgers team I've ever seen in my life, and maybe one of the greatest teams you're ever going to see and have the pleasure of seeing. And Shohei Otani is the greatest baseball player to ever live, and it's in our time right now. And so we struggle in the regular season. We struggled, but we somehow made it through, and at the end, we won the division of our league, right? And now I'm thinking, are we gonna be able to make it to the end of the postseason? And they dominated, they fucking dominated. They had some hiccups, but once they got to the World Series, it was tough. This was the greatest World Series I've ever seen in my life. I saw the one with the Yankees. I've seen a lot over the years. Texas, I've seen so many, right? Fucking Boston, when he broke the curse, David Ortiz. I've seen so many World Series, right? Compared to other sports. I've seen a lot of Super Bowls too, and I've seen a lot of a lot of basketball championships, but mainly baseball. For some reason, I always find a way to tune in. I've always had this little thing about baseball. I don't know why, especially recently, especially like in my later life. I wish I would have loved it when I was a kid and got into it when I was a kid. As an athlete, I wish I would have done that, but it's too late now. But this team is incredible. And once they got, I mean, Shohei had that crazy game 4 against Milwaukee, and once we got into the World Series, it was the hardest, the toughest World Series I've ever seen, and it was doubtful in at a lot of times. We lose the first game, which was the first time we had lost it, right? Because we were winning like every game, every first game, and every other round. But they had struck first, and we had struck. Then they had led. Then we had caught up. It was a battle, this World Series. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. And game 6 and game 7, game 6, what Miggy Rowe did in game 6 was unbelievable. For Roberts to make that call and tell Miggy Rowe, I need you, and for Miggy Rowe to deliver at that kind of level, it was insane. The catch, the barehanded catch, the slide with the grab. I mean, there was so many great candidates for MVP, right? Will Smith had a phenomenal year in the regular season and had a phenomenal postseason. Um, Freddie Freeman hit that walk off in what game 4? He hit that walk off. Will pitched those 72 pitches in 4 innings in 18. I mean, it was so many. It was so fucking insane. It was like movie shit. What was going on? And you couldn't write a better script, right? You just couldn't, because it was so incredible, right? I mean, look, the Blue Jays fans were talking a lot of shit online. I would go on Dodgers Nation and I'd be in the chat, and they'd be talking mad shit after they won. It's like, why aren't you, after we win, I go to Locked On Dodgers, or I go to fucking Dodgers Nation, or I go to Dodger Blue. I watch everyone's podcast, right? Why are you, I don't go to, that's just me. I don't go to fucking Locked On Blue Jays when they lose and clown them and shit. I don't do shit like that. That's just petty shit, like hater type shit. I don't do that. I'm too busy focused on me and what I got going on for myself. And I know I criticized the Dodgers. I love you guys, man. I love you guys so fucking much. And I know I criticized you guys heavily. But Teoscar Hernandez was the second leading home run hitter in the post. I knew Muncy was going to have a breakout game. I knew he was going to. Because before he got injured, he was dominating once he put those glasses on. Kike Hernandez was so clutch in so many different points. He was the one run we had in the sac fly. He was the one run we had, or out of the 2 runs we had when we lost, he hit a homer. I mean, Kike Hernandez did not want to give up at any moment in the game. Kike Hernandez played every single moment of the game. Every single moment he played. Every second he was playing the game. There wasn't a single moment where he wasn't on. And the part that I was getting upset with the Dodgers was they kept swinging and missing on pitches low in the middle, below the zone. And they got a lot of bad calls. They got a gang of bad calls from the umpires in the that were outside the zone. So many bad calls. But this game seven, I mean, there was so many times when Shohei. I didn't want Shohei to pitch. I didn't want him to pitch. You know, I didn't want him to pitch. But because Glass, they call him Mr. Glass. Why? Why? Because of the kids. I'm not a mistake. I'm not a mistake. You know why? You know why? Because of the kids. Tyler Glass now, Mr. Glass. Three pitches, right? Ends game six. I tell myself, put him in. Put him in the next day. I don't give a fuck. Have him start. I don't care. Right? But they put in Shohei, and I get it. I get it because he's the greatest player. If you're gonna put all your chips on somebody, it's gonna be Shohei Otani. Whether he's down, whether he's not making it, you're gonna put your chips on him because he's a winner. The odds are in your favor. May the odds be forever in your favor, right? Or ever in your favor, right? So I get that, but I didn't want him to pitch. I didn't want him to pitch in the start. I wanted Glass to pitch. I thought Glass could have stepped in and pitched three, but then how is Show gonna warm up? And that's a good point that they made on one of the stations I was watching. If he's gonna come in as a reliever, how? He has to warm up. You can't just have him do batting thinking that's gonna warm him up pitching. You know what I'm saying? So if it was a time to use him, it'd have to be at the start when you really think about it, right? So that makes sense. But he struggled. He was on 3 days rest. He struggled. It was the first time he had to pitch on 3 days rest. And he struggled against a lot of hitters. He struggled against Vladdy. He struggled. These guys were good, man. These guys were really fucking good. These Blue Jays, they really were. You know what I'm saying? No bullshit. They were tough. I was concerned about them and Seattle because Seattle was making this comeback and we had whooped their ass so many times that I was worried that they were going to come for us in the World Series and finally beat us, right? Because at the end of the regular season, we had torched them. You know what I'm saying? So my bad, man. I'm all over the place, but it was so crazy, like what was taking place this year because I didn't have the same feeling that I had last year. This year there was a lot of like a lack of confidence and a lot of losses, and it wasn't until the end where we battled and had a little streak where we finally won the division of the World Series. But so they put Show in. He struggles in the World Series, right? And he struggles, and he gives up 3 runs, and he's bummed out. He's bent. He's bent over, and I'm like, fuck. Already it's like, shit. Like that game. Those last 2 games were like the most stressful games I ever had the pleasure of watching, I guess you could say, because it was great, and it was great baseball. It was amazing baseball. It was the best World Series I've ever seen, but it was so stressful. I was so stressed out because these guys kept my guys, the Dodgers, they kept swinging at pitches low in the middle that were out the zone and they were in the zone, or they would get a bad call. So it was a mixture of them getting bad calls from the umpires and them making bad plays. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the Blue Jays because they were tough. They were tough. They were. You know what I mean? But there was a lot of pitches that I felt like they could have avoided, especially the ones that were low and in the middle. But they kept swinging at the split finger. They kept swinging at the split finger. They kept swinging at pitches that were low in the middle, and they weren't hitting them. And the way they were pitching, too, they kept pitching towards the fucking batters. They only did so many pitches away, and there was no low pitches. Yamamoto was the only, like, if you go back, Yamamoto and Ruki and Shohei were the only pitchers taking advantage of the low box of the zone. Right when you see the pitching box on your TV, everybody kept throwing high fastball, you know, fastball away, low but to the left. They weren't throwing any inside. Maybe the scouting report said no inside low fastball, no inside low breaking ball, no inside low slider. You know, when Snell played uh in that game where he went 8 innings and he dominated, he was throwing a lot of stuff on the inside because he's on the left. He was throwing a lot of stuff on the inside, the low box on the inside to the right. So I'm like, why aren't more people doing that? Because he was successful. Will Trent, he was throwing the on the inside to the left on a lot of lefties. You know what I'm saying? And that was sick because he was just attacking them on the inside. He didn't give a fuck. He was just going after them, and he was hitting that shit perfect too, the lower left corner. So I just didn't understand what was going on, and it was frustrating. And it looked like the Dodgers were afraid to pitch in the middle, and if every time they pitched in the middle was the wrong time, they took a lot of first strike pitches that were playable. They took a lot of pitches in the zone that they could have hit, a lot of pitches in the middle that they could have hit. So I was getting real like angry, you know what I mean? Because it's like, dude, what is happening? Like, is this how we're gonna lose? And to have that feeling and now have to turn it and ride all that stress of them taking me on that journey, and now to be here, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. And now everybody knows what I know, that Yoshinobu Yamamoto is one of the best pitchers to ever pitch in the MLB, and is gonna go down as one of the greatest Dodger pitchers to ever grace the uniform. Period. Shohei Ohtani is the greatest baseball player to ever exist. We're lucky to have him. We've got Mookie, we've got Freddie, we've got Teo. Pa has had a great season, but he had a horrible postseason. Dave Roberts amazingly made some adjustments to his lineup, and those managerial tweaks is what won the World Series. So it was a team effort plus a great managing performance. I'm blown away, man. I'm blown away. I did not know we'd be here. I hoped we would make it here. I hoped we would get here. Statistically, it's really hard to win your your league plus your division plus the playoffs plus the postseason. You know what I'm saying? That's hard to do. It's really hard to do. There's so many times we missed it. We came just short. We made it to the World Series and lost. You know what I mean? And it was looking like it was one of those times. And this whole series was crazy. There were so many great moments. Freddie Freeman hitting the walk off in the 18th. Will coming in, pitching 72 pitches. Glass now ending the game in Game 6. You know, Snell struggled a little. Snell struggled a lot. You know what I mean? But we got the job done. He came in. It was all starters, like a lot of guys predicted. It was all starters in Game 7, right? All starters, right? So it started with Show, then it went to fucking Glass, then it went to Snell, and then it went to Yamamoto. So they threw everything at them, and the fucking kitchen sink, and they had Kershaw because he's clutch, and they had Roki because he's clutch, just in case. But that home run from, I mean, Miggy Rowe in Game 6 and Game 7 won the World Series. Like, it's just insane. That last play in Game 6 to force a Game 7, that last double play, Mookie finally waking up and giving us the lead. We get to game 7 and we're down 3. Shohei comes out the game. Glass is pitching his ass off. And somehow we find a way back. Somehow it was just like magic and shit. Like all of a sudden Edmund is in, and Edmund's a silent killer, dude. You know, I was watching Dodger Blue, and one of the guys on Dodger Blue was saying, just go after the first pitch and attack. And Edmund must have watched the fucking podcast because the next fucking day he just goes and attacks the first fucking pitch. Excuse my language. He goes and attacks the pitch, right? And it's a total turnaround. Muncy woke up. Muncy had a huge home run for us. Huge. So you had Miggy Rowe with a huge home run. You had Muncy with a huge home run. You had Will Smith with a gigantic home run. Right? And you had the guy that you want to put all your chips on, just like Shohei, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. The man who pitched 2 complete games. Pitched the night before. Started. Won that game. Pitched tonight and closed the game out, which we knew it was going to happen because a lot of guys predicted, hey, if there's a guy we're going to give the ball to when everything is on the line, it has to be Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Because he's a winner. Guys, it was insane. It was insane. And the Blue Jays were so fucking tough. They were so hard to beat. I mean, there was so many moments where I was like, there's no way we're going to win this. I couldn't see. I was just so nervous, and I was like, there was just so many times they came back, and that one guy with the curly hair, the white dude, he fucking dominated. And then Vladdy's on third. You know what I'm saying? At the end, we finally made it up 5-4. And now he's on third. A guy's on first, and he's on third. There was a guy on second, but we got him out. We couldn't hit the guy on first. I mean, it was, guys, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was so much that went on. Like, I remember after the Dodgers won 2024, a lot of people were like, this dude was like, I'm going to buy the complete season, right? I'm going to buy the complete season on DVD, right? Which, who knows if that even is a thing now, right? But I felt him on that because it was amazing. This is a must. If there is a way to buy a complete season, especially the playoffs, if there's a way to buy a DVD set or some kind of like anthology, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You want to, it would be this one because that World Series, man, and even the playoffs, but that World Series was like the stuff that legends are made of. It was the stuff dreams are made of. It was, that will go down as one of the greatest World Series ever to be played. Ever. It was crazy. You know, every single time they would just come back. The Dodgers would score, they would come back. They would score, we would come back. It was like neck and neck, man. It was like you know when you watch a horse race and they start to do like this, or you watch the Olympics and they start to do like, I mean, or they go like this, and at the last moment someone kind of just noses it or whatever, like by a microsecond. That's what this was like. That's what this was like. It was insane. So I've been sick. I don't know if it's the Rona. You know what I'm saying? Um, I doubt it. You know what I mean? But you know, that's why I didn't broadcast last night. But here we are. I'm still in shock. I'm still in shock, guys. I'm still in shock. It was so hard to watch. It was so hard to watch. It was really hard. You know, there was so many times where I was like, man, I can't watch this. I can't watch this. And I'm never really like that. I'm never really like that invested. And I think because my mom had passed away, and the Dodgers had really become a part of our lives and had really become a part of our relationship, that kind of made us closer. Um, to see where they were in the regular season to where they ended up now, I know a lot of people put, you know, talk a lot of ish and say a lot of things about how great they are and they're ruining baseball and all this stuff. I don't care about y'all. Screw y'all that say they're ruining baseball. But for anyone that's like arrogant about the Dodgers, which I'm sure there's, I can't claim all fans, so I'm sure there's some arrogant people out there. But to anyone that's arrogant about the Dodgers, there's no way you saw that regular season and had absolute, total, and complete faith that they were gonna make it to the end. As a fan, you did, but as like a fucking person that watches baseball, right? There was like a lot of times where it was like, yeah, we won the division, but we struggled so much in the regular season. And I know you're supposed to separate the two, right? But we had lost so many games at home in the regular season that I was just like, man, I hope we can get it done. It wasn't like a for sure certainty. It was a real like, I hope we can get it done. Because Shohei's performance on his first year with the Dodgers was so spectacular, right? That like it just blew me away. And then once he started pitching, I guess a lot of us, the media and me included, were kind of like, and maybe we should stop doing it, but we were kind of like, are you sure, bro? Like, are you sure? Because you're so good as a hitter, and we want to see you last a long time. That we don't want you to shorten your career, and we don't want you to do this for us. You know, if you're doing it for yourself and that's who you are, I mean, you're already the greatest. What else do you have to prove, right? So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, is this hurting your career doing both? Is I guess the main question that everyone's trying to ask him. And it's fucked up because he's had to deal with that his whole life, of people saying that he can't do it, or is it a good idea to push yourself that hard? You know what I mean? At that high of a level for so long. You know what I'm saying? With the injuries, the double Tommy John surgery, the torn labrum last year, right? But he comes back this year to pitch finally, and he strikes out 50. And he does another 50-50. But this time it's not bases, it's 50 strikeouts. And it's a first ever. And it's like, what the fuck? This guy's incredible. You know what I mean? You know, but in the world, I'm gonna leave it up. It's Shohei's choice. It's Shohei's choice. But after that, after that game four, I believe, 18. And if I'm getting the games wrong and stuff, I apologize. I'm doing everything from memory. Maybe I should start writing this stuff down. But after that game four, um, after that game four, when they went 18 innings, I thought to myself, man, is it? He had to pitch the next day. You know what I'm saying? And it just seems like he would need a little bit of rest because the game he pitched in game four against Milwaukee, it was so spectacular. It was so mind blowing. There was no doubt that he could do both. No doubt. And maybe we'll see another game like that from him. We'll see games like that from him periodically next year. But in the World Series, I I, I I'm not trying to be a dick or nothing to anybody, but I had my doubts. Like, is the homie doing too much? Are we not, like, are we being selfish by cheering him on to do this? You know what I'm saying? Are we pushing him too hard? Is he pushing himself too hard? But we just gotta trust him, you know. But I will say this World Series was a series that, and as a pitcher, you get hit, you throw a pitch, and it's not a guarantee that it's baseball, right? It's not a guarantee you're gonna be fucking doing no hitters every game. striking out the side every time, or you're gonna have bad games. You're gonna have games where you get taken out early. That's just the way it goes. There's gonna be times where the pitchers, the hitters on the other team are just good, and you win some and you lose some. That's just the way it goes. And so yeah, this last game, by them using Tyler Glasnow in Game 6, putting in Shohei in the beginning of Game 7, was the right play, was the right thing to do. But apparently he was only on 3 days rest, which he had never done that before, and he had struggled in the last game he pitched. I think they won that game, if I'm not mistaken. So Snell, I think, lost both of his games too. But this game, Snell was in it. Snellzilla. He had some struggles and stuff, but he got through. Glass was good. It's like a chart. It goes like this. Show had a three run hit against him, unfortunately, but we came back. That Miggy Rowe home run was epic. Uh, Muncy had a great game. Edmund had a great game. Smith had a great game. Miggy Rowe had two great games. Shohei was getting hits, base hits. Even when he gets base hits, he's so crucial that even when if he just makes it to first, he's still the greatest somehow because he contributes so much to the team as a contributor. In your worst, you're at least going to get a base hit. If we see Shohei only go 1 for 3 or 1 for 4, we criticize him, but shit, compared to a lot of other people, unfortunately, some people just weren't getting on base, right? And we weren't taking advantage of 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 when people were on base. And I said this in my last video, we're not taking advantage of people when they're on base. And that was another thing I was frustrated with. And they knew that everything that I was saying, everything that a lot of other podcasts were saying, things that I was saying originally, they already knew. They already knew. They already had that shit sliced up. It was just that they had to do it. You know what I mean? I'm an outsider looking in. They're looking in, but they're also looking on the outside as well. They probably going through tape and stuff like that because they knew. They knew what had to be done. They knew what their weaknesses were. And what was so amazing about the Dodgers, what was so great about them that was similar to last year, but this year it was very similar to last year as far as the level of determination. And it was a little bit even more shocking this year because there was so much adversity, even with Shohei being healthy, right? There was so much adversity that it just you just kind of wondered what was going to happen. You kind of wondered like where is this going to go? How are we going to do this? You know, oh shit, we're losing. Oh shit, we're losing. Oh snap, we're losing. We're losing. We're losing. And it became a thing of like, can we get this done? Because we keep making the same mistakes. But they had stayed so locked in, like they were so like determined to win and never gave up and fought for every second and grinded out every second and tried to win their way, and they did. Like they pulled it off. You know what I mean? Like they really pulled it off. I mean, this was game 7 and we were down 3-0 and we came back to win 5-4. It just, and the way one home run here, run batter in here, run batter in here, one home run here, one home run, like we get a home run hit against us. Oh, like man, man, it was one for the ages because the battle was so neck and neck. You know, again, I'm shocked. I'm shocked. You know, I'm shocked. And if anything, this should show you that it doesn't matter how much money you spend on a team, even though the Blue Jays lost. It doesn't matter how much money you spend on a team. It don't matter. If a team is good enough, they're gonna win. If a team is determined enough and they just keep on trying and they get lucky, along with skill, and the odds swing to their side. Hey, look, glory goes to God. I prayed. I ain't gonna lie. I prayed to Jesus. I was like, Lord Jesus, please, Father God, in Jesus Christ's name in heaven, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, please give them the strength to win this game. I was real serious this year because it meant so much to me. Now that my mom's gone, and I lost my son 5 years ago, and his first Dodger game, my mom brought him to. You know what I'm saying? So this meant so much to me personally. It was personal for me. It meant so much to me and my family. You know, and I try not to be so fanatical when it comes to sports. I try not to be like that. But there's not a lot of things that I'm into. And like I said, like there was a lot of Kobe's career that I saw, but there was a lot of Kobe's career that I missed. I'll give you another example. When Beckham came to Galaxy, I missed the whole thing. Even though I would catch Landon Donovan here and there and I would catch Beckham here and there, I missed the whole thing. Like I didn't pay attention. I just would catch games here and there. I wouldn't really have cable and I would just miss it. They went to win 3 championships in a row when Beckham showed up over here. And that's when people started taking Major League Soccer, MLS, more seriously when Beckham came over. And that's when other people started coming over. Lionel Messi and Thierry Henry before that. All these real serious players that were from the Premier League and that were from La Liga and that were from all these other leagues, you know what I'm saying, started coming over here. You know what I'm saying? But when Beckham came to Galaxy, I was really salty about that. The times that I missed Kobe playing, I was really salty about that. I missed one of his high scoring games. You know what I'm saying? I saw the one where he did 60, 67. I saw that one. But I missed one of his I think I missed the 81. I think I missed the 81. My girl was at that game live. Her uncle had tickets and he couldn't go. He gave her the tickets and that was the game where he scored 81 points. I mean, yeah, they had prom Shaq and Kobe, but it got to the point when Shaq retired and everything brushed down at the end before Kobe retired, or Kobe's retirement game, he hugged him and said, I need 60 today. It was water under the bridge, but at the time it was happening so fast that Kobe came off because we weren't on the inside, we were on the outside. And Shaq had movies, Shaq had albums. Shaq was like a big star. He had Amway behind him from Orlando, like he had, you know what I'm saying, like from the Magic. He had there was so much like 22 size sneaker, and there was so much hype about Shaq. He got $170 million for his contract and shit. So he was like, and then he was on the team first, I think, and was like the leader first, and like they had let Kobe do what he wanted, and they had lost, and that was the time where Shaq was like, "Hey, it's all good. Like, don't worry about it," and try to give him words of encouragement, right? And you could tell Kobe was frustrated. You could tell Kobe was like pissed that he lost because he held himself, whatever standard or whatever anybody, he held himself at a very high standard. And when he played ball, his idea of playing ball was, I'm a scorer. I'm a scorer. You get to give me the ball, I'm scoring. You give me the ball, I'm putting up 30, 40, 50 every day. Cuz he looked up to Jordan and his father was a pro player. You know what I'm saying? And when he finally went up against Jordan, he didn't even care about the rumors against Jordan. He was like, "Fuck it, I don't care. Like, what do I care? When I see him, it's on." You know what I mean? That's how serious he took basketball. That his heroes was now his targets. You know? And so everything with Shaq and Kobe that went down, it was weird. There was a teammate respect, but there was a hatred of and a competitor clash. And it sucked. And then Shaq left, and it was kind of, and then they got a championship with with uh with Miami with Dwayne Wade, and then it was like, damn, like, but Kobe and we got to give it up because Gasol came over. You know what I mean? But they got it done, man. They got it done, and he really showed, and a lot of people got to see who Kobe really was at that moment. And so I was there for that, but there was times where I missed that. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because after Kobe's death, I embraced a lot of the Mamba mentality, like I said. And with this team, with the Dodgers, I've been tapping in. I've been tapping in heavily. I've been into UFC. I've been into but they're all Republican and it's annoying. And I'm just like, and they try to tell you a lot of dumb shit. Joe Rogan, dumb shit. Oh, you don't get brain damage. In boxing, you get back up, and that's how you get brain damage. We seen somebody's skull get crushed on freaking MMA. Like, cut the bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just dumb shit. So there's just a lot of dumb shit with that. But I respect those guys. I respect the fighters. The fighters are the ones I respect, and the fighters are the ones that are being taken advantage of when it comes to. Let me turn this up a little bit. When it comes to turn it up some more. Check, 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 check. I guess using the mic on here is check 1 2. No, it's too high. Check, 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 check. So yeah, the UFC, man, like the fighters get ripped off, and that's what pisses me off about the UFC. And I got to the point where I'm like, you know what? Like, I need to decide if I'm really gonna support this. To me, Dana White's a scumbag, and I had to make a decision. As much as I love martial arts, as much as my father was a martial artist, he doesn't practice anymore because he's dealing with his conditions. And I had to make a decision. As much respect that I have for martial arts, as much respect I have for the fighters, do I want to support the fact that Dana White has $4 billion and he's paying his fighters like $250,000 a year or less, 100,000, and boxers are getting paid 300 million, 50 million, 20 million, 10 million, but he's paying his freaking UFC fighters 100,000 a fight, talking about, oh yeah, you make money on tickets and pay per views. Like, no, bro, don't don't bullshit a bullshitter. You know what I'm saying? You coming to bed soon or not yet? Give me 5 minutes. Um, so I backed up from UFC. I believe more people should get into martial arts personally, and I don't care if it's Aikido. Go and study Aikido. Study whatever style you think you should study. Doesn't matter. Study multiple styles, but at least study one style. And if it's just boxing, fine. If it's just wrestling, fine. Just or if you just work out, fine. You know, I'm not a hater like that. It's not the martial artist, or it's not the martial arts. It's the martial artist. If something's bullshit, you're gonna know. And when you really think about it, there shouldn't be too many instances where you have to use your martial arts. You know, and even if you know something, to be a good Samaritan, you don't have to always get into a fight. If you see something that's wrong, you can call the cops. There's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't make you a snitch or a bitch. If somebody's if somebody's getting stabbed or freaking attacked, you know what I mean? You gonna not call the cops and be like, I got a code, sorry, or I'm gonna go handle it myself. Dude could have a gun. You don't know. And martial arts can't stop bullets. You know what I mean? So you just gotta the best martial arts is right here in between your head. The fight's in here. Yes, the fight's out here, but the fight's also in here. The game is in here, right? That's your most powerful weapon is up here. So as I spiel, as I do this talk, if you're not into baseball, no problem. You know what I mean? It's the end of the year. We gotta wait till next year, right? This last game, Dodgers did it. They're the 2025 World Series champions. They're a dynasty. They did it. They proved it. They're the first team to win back-to-back championships in 25 years. Okay? 25, 30 years. They're the first ones. No, 25 years, excuse me. Last one was in 2000. It was the Yankees. So, yeah. Um, They did it, man. They got it done. They believed. And the only thing I can say is those of us that are fans, I mean, we all kept the faith anyway, right? We all kept the the hope, right? That they would win. But there was a lot of times where they were I was critical. I was critical. And I tried not to be like that. Last year I wasn't so critical. This year I was very critical because like I said, there was so many times where they would pitch away, they would pitch in too much, or they would pitch away, or they'd pitch outside the zone like they were scared to throw it in the zone. That was frustrating. And there was a lot of times where they kept swinging. That was really frustrating. They kept swinging at a pitch that was low out the zone. They kept swinging at those, and that was frustrating. That was very frustrating to watch. And so I kept getting caught up in that. Teo had some big moments in the postseason, a lot of big moments in the postseason for a lot of people. But this was an overall team effort. If it wasn't for that play that Dean and Hernandez did, we wouldn't have got here. If it wasn't for Mookie, as bad as a postseason that he unfortunately had, hitting that 3-run hit in Game 6, we wouldn't have got here. If it wasn't for the clutch moments that Shohei did, if it wasn't for even the games before we got to the World Series, if it wasn't for the performances that took place throughout the whole playoffs plus the World Series, we never would have made it to the championship. And so it was an amazing journey, stressful journey, especially at the end. But it was an amazing journey, an amazing ride to see this team do what we thought that they could do, and how hard it was to do it. And so those of you that don't like the Dodgers, those of you that are saying the Dodgers are ruining baseball by spending so much money on the team, go fuck yourselves. Talk to somebody who gives a fuck, because I don't. Because my team won, okay? And I'm tired of this stuff on the internet, this hating stuff that goes on, and this bickering and complaining about stuff. I'm sick of it, man. Like, I'm tired of it, of like just people just being haters. And it's okay to be a hater now. I can't stand that. It was never okay to be a hater back in the day. Like real OGs and real people who knew what's up from the streets, those that were involved with the streets and those that were just street adjacent, weren't involved with the streets but grew up there, knew. Well, maybe not even people that were in the streets, people that just grew up in the streets but weren't involved with the streets, because there are a lot of haters that are involved with the streets, right? But that whole hating mentality on what the next man is doing, it's one thing to be aware of what the next man is doing, and to notice, oh, okay, that's your strength, I better make sure I'm aware of that. That's one thing. But this like psychological warfare of like people using like passive aggressive like little slide comments in order to get you to have low self-esteem, that's what I can't stand. I can't stand that. I can't stand that. And that's grown so much. And I myself used to be like very much so a person that like was very like depressed and like didn't like, never looked on the bright side, right? But now I try to change that and be more optimistic. And when I hear people, I never was a hater, but when I hear people that are either haters or that say some of the things that they say, it reminds me of the way I used to think when I would blame everybody else but myself and not accept accountability. And that's why I don't like it, because I recognize that within myself. And that's not the way to be. It'll never get you anywhere. Trust me, I've wasted so much time, and life is too short to waste time. So as we close this out, know that what you just saw, if you saw it, know that if you believe in yourself and you work hard enough at something, you can achieve it. You can. And the Dodgers proved it. And so take that inspiration of the God given talent that was given to the Dodgers, take that inspiration for you and do something with your life and work hard at it every day. And one day you'll make it. I don't care what it is. I don't care how many people are in that industry. I don't care if it's an industry that no one knows about and it's not that popular. You do what you love to do, and you try to be the best you can be. and you will make it as long as you give it your all and you work at it every day and you believe in yourself and you don't let these passive aggressive comments in order to deter you from your mission, because that's what it is. It's people that are so upset with their own lives that they say and do things to try to destroy your life because they're so miserable. You gotta just, no matter what, keep pushing forward. And that's what we're facing in this day, these days and times, with politics, with what's going on in the world. It's going to be a lot of bad things happening, and so this is one of those moments with all the craziness that's going on in the world. This is one of those moments that you can actually sit back, at least for me, and be happy and enjoy and say that my team, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the 2024-2025 World Series champions, are the best Dodgers team and possibly the best baseball team to ever play. Well done, guys. I know I was hard on you on Twitter. I know I criticized you a lot. I also try to say things to boost your morale. Shout out to Doc when he did that race with uh, Haesung Kim, seeing him fall and everybody laughing. And when they said we needed that, I knew it was more psychological what was going on with the Dodgers. And that's when I kind of changed my tune with my comments on Twitter, because they were right. When they said we needed that, I was like, okay. And that's when I wrote on Twitter. Not that I have anything to do with this, but that's when I wrote on Twitter. I wrote the Dodgers. I said, you know what, guys? At the end of the day, it's about having fun. And I love you guys. And no matter what, you're always going to be my favorite team. Go out there and give it your all. And this is when we were down 3-2. Right? So, yeah. What a series. What a team. What a sport. What a time to be alive. I hope you enjoyed it. LA, Dodgers for life.